If you have ever paid an influencer to post about your clothing brand and then sat there refreshing your Shopify dashboard, waiting for orders to come in, and they didn't, this video is for you. Because here's what nobody in the influencer marketing space wants to admit. Most influencer deals for clothing brands, I'm sorry, are a bad investment. Not all of them, but most of them. And the reason brands keep doing them anyway is because they're confusing two completely different things and they're conflating them. They think they are building an acquisition channel, but what they are actually doing is buying a moment, a post, a story that disappears in 24 hours and takes your money along with it. An ambassador is not an influencer, and an influencer is not an ambassador, although they can be. But these are two completely different people doing two completely different things for your brand, and I feel like this is something that's not talked about, and I'm gonna get into it today. Once you understand the difference, you will never think about your customer acquisition the same way ever again. That's what this video is all about. Let's get into it. So let's start with the influencer, because most people think that they understand this and they just don't. Not fully, at least. An influencer is someone with an audience who rents you access to that audience in exchange for money or product, usually the former. That's the transaction. You pay them, they post, their followers see it, some percentage of those followers click, and some smaller percentage of those actually buy, okay? And then it's over. It's done. It was a one-time thing, never to be happening again. Now, that can work. I am not saying influencer marketing is a scam or anything like that. For the right brand at the right moment with the right audience and the right influencer, it can absolutely move product and move the needle. Here's the problem. That transaction has a fundamental flaw built into it. The influencer's audience does not trust your brand. They trust the influencer, and that trust is borrowed. The influencer is essentially saying, hey, I wore this, you should check it out. And because people like them, some of those people will check it out. But the relationship that gets built from that transaction is between the customer and the influencer, not between the customer and your brand. So when the post is gone and the influencer moves on to the next brand deal, that borrowed trust goes with them. You paid for attention, you did not build a relationship. And attention without relationship does not compound, and that's bad. So, what is an ambassador? Let's go through that now. An ambassador is something completely different, at least if you do it the right way. And the difference is, it starts before they ever post a single thing. Walk with me.
A brand ambassador is someone who already bought the products.
I know, Spencer, what are you talking about? I'm sending them free products. Not anymore, you're not. They already love the brand, and they already wear it in their real life. They are not performing enthusiasm for a paycheck. They have genuine enthusiasm because they are a real customer. And when they let their friends know about your brand, their friends know that it's real. That is a completely different kind of trust. Think about the last time a friend told you about something they genuinely loved. A movie, a restaurant, not an ad, not a sponsored post, a real recommendation from someone you actually know. You probably at least looked it up. Maybe you bought it, maybe you went. This is what an ambassador does for your brand every single time they share it, and they don't need 100,000 followers. And here's the other thing. An ambassador is not a one-time transaction, at least if you have the system correctly installed. A good ambassador program turns that person into an ongoing acquisition channel. They keep buying, they keep sharing, they keep bringing new people in month after month without you paying for a new post every time. The relationship compounds instead of expires. That is the fundamental difference. An influencer is a transaction, an ambassador is a relationship. And in clothing, a relationship always wins. So let's talk about what this actually looks like. So an influencer, the audience is someone else's followers, right? Not yours. The trust is borrowed, it's temporary, right? Relationship is transactional. There's nothing wrong with transactional relationships, but in this case, that's all it is. The duration is one post, one moment, right? The cost, it could be 500, 1,000, 3,000 bucks, we never know. But what you get is temporary attention with no repeat value unless you pay the piper again. Not great the way I'm framing it, right? And now I want to go through what an ambassador could look like for you and why you might have been treating ambassadors like influencers, even though that is not what is going to make your brand pop the way that you want it to. So let's go through that. So an ambassador, right? Their personal network, their friends, their family, their cousins, whoever, right? The trust is genuine because why? They are a real customer who chose you, okay? Or your brand rather. Duration, ongoing. It could be months, it could be years. You never know. The cost is just commission on sales they make. That's it, very small. compared to Meta's cost and compared to these big influencers who are maybe not necessarily all that. And I know I might get some hate in the comments from influencers, bring it on. So what you get referrals. That's pretty awesome. More money, more sales. You get UGC. That's awesome. More content, more eyeballs. And social proof. People are gonna be seeing you, which is great because your biggest problem right now is no one knows you exist. And we have to change that. And then the repeat value compounds every month without you paying more money. And that is the goal. That's the profitability that we strive for. Let me talk about the tracking problem because this is what really gets brands in trouble. So what is the tracking problem? What am I talking about? Let me back up for a minute. So when you pay an influencer to post, how do you know that it worked? You can look at the views, you can look at the link clicks, and you can even see what sales were in that time period that, maybe didn't come from Meta ads. You can create a special discount code and see how many times it gets used. But here's the reality. It's probably gonna get used 4 times, right? Most people who see an influencer post and then buy something don't use the discount code. They close Instagram, they open a new tab, they Google the brand and they buy directly. Or they see the post, they forget about it, and then they see a retargeting ad 2 weeks later and they buy from that. Meta takes the credit. The influencer deal looks like it did nothing, but did it? You don't know. And the ambiguity is expensive because you're making decisions about where to spend money based on incomplete information. No bueno. And most brands end up doing more influencer deals because they feel like marketing, even when they can't prove that they're working. Ambassador ROI is the total opposite of that. When an ambassador shares their referral link or discount code and someone buys, you know exactly where that customer came from. You know which ambassador brought them in. You know how many purchases that particular ambassador has driven in total or to date. And you know their commission down to the single dollar and cent. The data is very clean. The attribution is very direct. And you can make real decisions from it too. That is not a small little difference. That is not a wrinkle. That is the difference between spending money on faith and spending money on evidence. You can also have faith with evidence, by the way. So now I want to talk about something that's really important, and 98% of brands are not doing this, and it's your biggest revenue generator. So now the question you're probably asking is, how do I actually frickin' do this, Spencer? Help. How do I take my existing customers and turn them into ambassadors without it feeling weird or forced? And the answer is much simpler than you think. You look for the customers who are already acting like ambassadors. They exist in your customer base right now, I promise you. If you have a list of over 1,000 customers, they are there. They are the people who tag you in their posts without being asked, who reply to your emails. Sidebar, if you have under 1,000 customers, we can help you get there, but just stay till the end of the video. They leave 5-star reviews that are 3 paragraphs long because they had something good to say, who DM you to tell you that the hoodie fits perfectly and they love it so much, and then you post that on your story. These people are not just customers. They are fans, and fans want to be closer to the thing they love. They want to feel like insiders. So when you reach out to them and say, hey, we noticed you've been rocking our stuff and we want to officially bring you into our brand ambassador program, most of the time they're gonna say yes. Not because of commission, because of identity. Because being an official ambassador for a brand they already love means something to them. That is the first cohort of people. And from there, the system takes over. You set up the referral tracking, the commission structure, the content guidelines, the back end. We'll check in with them. You make them feel like they're part of something, and they will do the rest for you. The system will really run itself if it's installed correctly, of course. You do not need to find influencers. Influencer marketing is, I'm not gonna say dead, but pretty damn close. You do not need to pay for a following. Your best ambassadors are already in your Shopify customer list right now. You just haven't invited them yet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump to a brand and we're gonna find our best customers, okay? We have 20,000 customers, awesome, great. So we're gonna search for customers and here's how we're gonna filter it. And so I know these names are blank right now. And so what we're gonna do is we're going to find our best customers. Oh goody. So we are gonna do at least 2 orders placed. Matter of fact, yeah, we're gonna do orders placed. Equals greater than or equal to 2. Boom. Nope, that's it. Let's finish the filter. Let's run the query. 388 customers. Awesome. So already we have 388 and we have 20,000 of course. But these are the people who have spent at least, or rather have gotten at least 2 orders. Now let's crank it up a notch. Let's go to 3. Let's run the query. 113. So we got a ton of people on here who are buying more than 3 times. Those are our most dedicated fans. These are the people we're gonna go after. If your customer list isn't big enough, that's okay. It takes time. We can help you get there. I don't want you to stress about that. So I don't want you to stress about that. I want you to be aware of what it takes to get there and look at the LTV on these people. Insane, right? You can see these numbers. You can't see these names, but you can see these numbers, right? Insane, right? And that is what happens when you do it the right way. And so we're gonna finish up in a second here, but I really want this to soak in, and I want you to understand what it means to have a compounding customer system in place. Another way you can do this outside of Shopify is look for DMs on Instagram or tagged posts, because I promise you, that is a lot of where your ambassadors also are. Those are kind of your tier 1 or tier 2 candidates. You just haven't given them that title yet. And so what you wanna look for in a strong ambassador candidate, they bought more than once, they have an active Instagram or TikTok, and they've posted or storied at least one time. They don't need to have more than 5,000 followers. That's a bunch of hooey. We don't need to worry about followers. They have good posts, they have a good feed, they have aesthetic that fits your brand. If you're a brand all about health and wellness and people are eating donuts and smoking, maybe not the best ambassador, right? We want to keep it personal. Reference their specific purchase or post when you reach out to them. Hey, lead with a compliment. I loved when you posted that thing in our new tracksuit. You look great in it. We just started an ambassador program. We're only inviting about 50 people. I would love it if you'd consider being a part of it. They're gonna say hell yeah. They're gonna be so excited. And guess what? If they don't answer, who cares? We have 49 other people who are gonna be so excited. And you don't need 100 ambassadors to start. 10 to 20 who are genuinely excited is a good starting point. Now, what happens is a lot of people get to 10 to 20 and they're done. They're good to go. This has to compound. That's the only way that it works. And so here is one more thing I want to talk about, the part of the ambassador model that most brands completely underestimate. And honestly, it might be the most valuable part of it all. When your ambassadors are active, I don't care what kind of brand you have, when they're wearing your stuff, they're posting about it, they're talking about it in their stories, they are generating content for you around the clock, real content shot on real phones by real people in real settings, not a studio, not a set, but real life. And that content does two things for you simultaneously. First, it gives you a constant stream of UGC, user-generated content. And we can set up rewards for these later. I don't want to get into the weeds right now, but that you can put into ads and you can run emails on and you can use on your website, your social feed. The best performing creative for D2C clothing brands right now is not the polished campaign shoot. I know, shocker. It's the authentic customer video. And your ambassadors are making that for you as a byproduct of just being in the program. Shout out to you, ambassador, right? And so secondly, it builds social proof at scale that paid ads just cannot manufacture. When someone finds you on Instagram and sees 20 different real people in 20 different cities wearing your brand in their actual lives, that really does something to a potential customer. And a product photo just can't do that, right? I mean, you've bought stuff before. You know what you're attracted to. You know what you get excited about. It makes it feel like something that people actually wear, not just something people buy and forget about. The social proof compounds too. Every post from an ambassador is a piece of evidence that real people love your brand. And that evidence lives on their profile indefinitely, long after a paid ad has stopped running, long after an influencer has moved on to the next deal, long after the ambassador's post is still there. It's still working, and it's still telling the story of your brand to anyone who stumbles across it. That is what you get for free when the system is built right, but it has to be built the right way. If it's not built the right way, it ain't gonna work, okay? No influencer deal on earth can give you that. So let me bring this home for you. Influencers give you borrowed trust, temporary attention, and almost zero trackable ROI. Ambassadors give you genuine trust, compounding relationships, clean data, free content, and social proof that builds month over month over month without you writing another check. That doesn't mean you will never work with an influencer again. That doesn't mean you will shut ads off for eternity. No. It just means that you should never confuse one for the other again. And it means the most valuable marketing asset you can build for a clothing brand right now is not a roster of influencers. It's a system that turns your best customers into your best salespeople without even knowing it. And if you want to see what that system actually looks like, how we build it, how we track it, how we qualify ambassadors for your brand, of course, Go to onlypsm.com and there's a free ROI calculator there that shows you the exact numbers for your brand. The link is in the description. And I hope that you got some value out of this video. I hope this made sense. I would love to hear from you in the comments section, ask questions. In the next video, we're gonna talk about something that most agencies are terrified to talk about, our actual client selection process and why we actually say no more than we say yes. And so if you wanna know what it actually takes to qualify for a system like this, subscribe and I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.